I've lost and regained the same 10 kilo over and over again. And every time I said, this will be the time that it sticks, until I figured out what it was that was holding me back. And it definitely wasn't discipline, willpower, or consistency. So let me set the scene. You commit to the diet phase. You do everything. You literally leave no stone unturned. You never miss a training session. You hit your steps, you take the supplements, you drink the water, you get to bed on time. And you get to the end of the diet phase and you breathe a monumental sigh of relief. The diet is over. It feels like the weight of the world is off your shoulders. It almost feels like you've been let out of prison. You have literally been dreaming of this day and all of the things you're going to do that you haven't been able to do throughout that diet phase. And I know, because I've been there myself, time and time again. I would literally be like a red rag to a bull, leaving no stone unturned, removing every ounce of flavour from my diet, just eating bland, boring foods, doing whatever I felt was required to lose the body fat and get leaner, and essentially just suffering my way through the 12, 16, 20 weeks just to get to the end of the fucking diet. And to be honest, it worked. I lost the weight, I looked great, but it didn't stick. So, like, what happened next? Just as a little side note, if you're completely clueless as to where to start with your fat loss journey, I've created a free guide. No fluff, no nonsense, no bollocks. Link is in the description. You can download it and get instant access today. So why didn't I manage to keep the weight off every time I'd lost that same 10 kilo? Well, the long and short of it is that I just couldn't wait to stop doing all of the things that I did to lose that body fat and lose that weight. I stopped tracking my calories. I started to relax a little bit of a weekend and just having a bit more of a treat because, you know, I've dieted hard, so I've earned it. I wouldn't consistently hit my steps because I'm not dieting anymore, so I didn't view it as much of a priority anymore. I started to skip the odd training session, and again, I would justify it as, well, I'm not dieting anymore, so it's okay. The same as I justified the cookies and the pizza and the shit food that I'd essentially avoided throughout that initial dieting phase. Well, first off, at the start of the diet phase, you need to figure out what your calories and macros are going to be to make sure that you're in a deficit for the dieting phase. Link in the description, the free guide will work that out for you, start to finish. But more than anything, write yourself a meal plan. Think about meals that you want to consume. Now, we need to prioritize mostly single ingredient whole foods. We need to focus on food quality, food volume, all of this. Again, it's all talked about in that free guide. However, put together meals that you're going to want to eat. Don't just eat bland, boring foods in the belief that that's what's required to get leaner. Use spices, seasonings, put together meals that are palatable, that you genuinely enjoy eating, but more than anything are quick and easy and repeatable. You need to make this as easy as possible for yourself. And again, if you're unsure what I'm talking about when I say about like single ingredient whole foods and food volume and food quality, this is all laid out in the free guide. The link is in the description. The absolute worst thing you can do for a dieting phase is just eat things that you genuinely hate or don't enjoy, because when you get to the end of the diet phase, you will not be able to wait to fuck that shit off. Also, be realistic with the level of training and daily activity that you can commit to. Yes, you will need to step outside of your comfort zone. Yes, you will need to challenge yourself to a degree and do things that maybe aren't sustainable long term, but don't be committing to 6 days a week in the gym and 20,000 steps a day and an hour of cardio every day if that isn't something that you're going to be able to sustain long term. Now, that's a slight contradiction in the sense of you will do things in a diet phase that you don't do long term, but don't try and break your back getting in the gym 6 days a week and doing 20,000 steps if you've got a family, kids, a full-time job and commitments. Because as soon as that diet phase is over and you're no longer able to commit to that level of consistency with training and daily activity, that's when things will start to fall apart. You're going to be far better doing 4 sessions a week and 10,000 steps a day and 30 minutes of cardio 3 times a week. If you can sustain that forevermore, because your chances of success are going to be far greater, you're going to be far less stressed because you're not trying to fit all of this activity into an already busy week. And you're likely going to enjoy the process far better. Because remember, getting leaner, losing body fat is a calorie deficit. And that is largely going to come down to eating less food. Yes, your daily activity training will contribute to the deficit, but ultimately, calories are going to be the biggest driver of fat loss. Then when you get to the end of the diet phase, this is where you need to take a structured reverse diet approach. Increase your intake by 200-300 calories per day, per week over a, say, 4 to 6 week period of time. Monitor visual changes, monitor changes to scale weight. In an ideal world, 4 to 6 weeks later, you will be on slightly higher calories, probably closer to maintenance, but body weight will be pretty similar to what it was at the end of that diet phase. The biggest lesson that I learned is that when you get to the end of a diet phase, nothing changes. Nothing. You still need to maintain the same level of focus and attention around training, training intensity, daily activity levels, nutrition, food quality, food volume, sleep, hydration, supplementation. The only difference is that when you come out of a diet phase into a reverse diet phase, maintenance, and then into a surplus/gaining phase, you just get to eat more food. That's the only difference. All the habits and behaviors that you put in place throughout the diet phase, they remain. You just now get the luxury of being able to eat more, therefore no longer suffering hunger, fatigue, and everything that does come ultimately with a diet phase. Anyway, I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. But please, as always, massage my ego, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to chase down 500 subscribers. And until next time, much love, Coach Chris.